This is not. I'm not usually in here.
Is this what we do?
Yeah. This is not. This is a very posh studio for like another posh podcast.
Where do you sit?
I was going to sit here, but it's entirely.
I sit right there then. Come on.
I usually.
Thank you, Jeff.
I do not usually offer soft furnishings to my guests.
Oh my God, this is fantastic.
But the studio that we were supposed to be in wasn't working, so we're in this one. David Tennant does a podcast with
Ben Schwartz. David, I'm so happy to be here.
I'm so glad you're here. This feels like such a treat because in fact, well, I mean, we'll just start, right? I mean, this is it. It's all happening.
Do you have a great intro for yourself? No. Is there a theme song for?
There's a theme song. We do need to get you to say your name, which we drop into the
What's
title
the theme
sequence.
song for? What's the podcast called? David Tennant Talks?
David Tennant does a podcast with, and then you say your name.
Ben Schwartz.
That's it.
Can I do the whole thing? Can I give you a theme song?
Yeah, sure, I'd love
Can
that.
I?
Yeah.
Give me a beat. Okay, David Tennant speaks with. Put your name right here. How about that?
That was pretty good.
Okay.
You could have done your actual name, and then
but now it can be used for everybody. I wanted it to be evergreen.
Yeah. Okay.
I wanted it to be no matter what's happening in the world, that theme song works perfectly.
It's very, yeah. I mean, we could do a take two. Let's try it again later.
Okay. Yeah. When we're looser. You're not telling me it was bad, but we should try to come back to it.
I think I know you can be better.
Right.
That's all.
You pushed me to be the best version of myself.
That's exactly what I want to do. That's what I see as my role in your life.
Yeah. You're my Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah, exactly.
A lot of people would say that you're my Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm thrilled that we're in the same country, in the same room.
We're actual friends.
This is actually happening.
We've even spoken before that we talk on an app, but we talk more with each other than with other people in our lives.
Yes.
Isn't
that's
that
true.
very fun?
By dropping video messages to you, which often end with you cutting to your dog defecating.
Absolutely. I try to show my dog taking a shit when... are we allowed to curse on this or probably not?
Yeah,
okay.
Come on, bring it on.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
I love to... And I think it's a great tag to anything that's being said.
Yeah.
Good or bad news can be tagged with a good dog going to the bathroom. And then in my head, you look away. But there's also a version of it where you zoom in.
Oh, no, often you cut before any actual
comedically
shit
try
is
to
on
cut
this.
perfect. Yeah.
But a couple of times.
I need you to know that it always finishes. My dog always finishes. I know that in your head you don't know if my dog is finishing.
I don't know. I'm worried for you. The health.
No, the dog is. Rita's doing great. Rita's doing great. Yeah.
But I've seen her go to the bathroom a lot.
Yeah. She's doing amazing.
Now we're talking
Here's
about
my
shit.
tea.
Here's your tea.
Thank you very, very much. Oh my God, your nails match the cup.
Yeah, I didn't even plan it.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
That is
Wonderful.
great. Now this is green tea with honey. I don't know if we do that right in this country.
Well, you also told me when someone says tea here, it's not like you don't have a choice of tea. It's how do you like your tea? Like what do you put in your tea?
Do you take sugar?
Yeah. So when he said, "What do you want in your tea?" or "What do you want for tea?" Like I said, green tea, and you're right. There was a hesitation of like, "Well,
yeah." Well, it's so LA.
It's crazy. So what? Someone said, "Okay, David, how do you want your tea?" What do you say?
A little bit of milk.
That's it.
That's all you need to say. You don't need to define. You can go, do you have Earl Grey? But people might think you're a cock.
Right. And what's regular tea? English breakfast?
Yeah, English breakfast, yeah. Builder's tea, it's often referred to here, which is, I don't know, perhaps.
Builder's tea?
Yeah, because it's what you give the builders. It's probably politically incorrect now to do that.
We're going to try to go through all the PC terms, all the un-PC terms.
Yeah.
We're going to try and get you canceled by the end of this.
I think we should get cancelled together.
I would love that.
Hold hands and jump
like
into
Thelma
the void.
and Louise?
Exactly, yeah.
The car flying off the cliff?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. We're very lucky to have you here in the country, in the room.
I can't wait.
In the flesh, because you're on a press tour.
We're on a press tour. I'm wearing
Sonic
makeup
3.
right now for a podcast.
You look beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Really
Thank you,
look
Gisette,
good.
for doing my makeup.
Yeah.
We're doing press for Sonic the Hedgehog 3.
Yeah. How is it going?
This is we did Brazil
Are you
yesterday.
out of your mind with jet lag?
I'm out of my mind jet lag, but today it's fine. Like I just have to know how many things I have to do, and then in my brain as they tick off, I know I can handle this. I only have 2 more things today, so it's like, and I've been looking forward to this because it's just catching up with a friend.
Yeah, this is more. We know this is a bit more of a hangout.
It's not like answering the same question over and over.
What
and
is the one you get for Sonic?
When was the first time you played Sonic? Is a big one. What's Jim Carrey like to act with? That's
Right.
another big one. And I don't.
But people understand you're not in the suit, right?
They don't
get
understand.
that.
No. So I have to tell them, oh, I don't actually get to do scenes with Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
And they're like, what do you mean? And so a lot of the interview is that I love a game. In an interview, don't you love a game when someone's like, okay, we're going to play a game? I'm like, great, whatever it is, I can't wait.
Because it's much better than answering the same question again.
Yes.
Are you good at faking it though? Are you good at...
Yes. What I've learned is that this person has been waiting for blank amount of time. They have 5 minutes with me, and then they go on to far more famous people. I'm going to make it feel like whatever they're asking is the first time I've ever heard it. I'm going to make them feel like giving them as much as I can for their 5 minutes, because they don't know everybody else is asking.
Which is lovely and kind of you.
Yes.
And I applaud you for it. And I would expect nothing less, because you're a kind and humane individual. But sometimes when it's like, when you've been doing it all day and it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, your brain is mush.
You're just tired.
Do you ever just make something up?
I love derailing interviews.
Right.
Oh, for me as an improviser, one of my favorite. If you and I were on a press tour together, we were on one.
Did.
And do you remember?
We were on one.
And we did this whole leg thing, and we did, and I barely knew you then.
We'd met like that morning.
Yeah, I barely knew you, and then you were immediately yes-anding all my, like, any stupid thing I did. I was like, oh, I wonder, because I think you were still Doctor Who. You just stopped being Doctor Who, so you were enormous. And we went there. We went to Comic-Con a little bit afterwards, and you were like the king of Comic-Con. Because anywhere you went, everybody's like, oh my God. But when there, I was messing around in some of the interviews, and you immediately joined.
Oh, well.
And I was like, oh, I'm going to be friends with this person.
Well, like you say, it gives you joy. I look back on them, though, in preparation for this. I look back on that.
Really? Which one?
Well,
the leg crossing one?
We can see the day we met.
Oh, do you think that was the exact day we met?
Some of them were, although I think it spanned a couple of days, didn't it? We certainly met one morning.
Yes.
Because we'd all recorded DuckTales, obviously, separately.
Yes. We were on DuckTales together.
We were on DuckTales
I played
together.
Dewey, you played Uncle Scrooge.
And we'd done a whole series. But I'd done all of mine in London. You'd done all yours in LA.
Yeah.
We never met. And then we met for a press tour.
Yes, we didn't even have a meal. We literally met and we were off to the races.
Met in the morning, and then there's one interview where we do a thing where you, me, and Danny Pudi.
Yes.
If we crossed legs, everyone had to cross legs.
Great.
It was great.
Great.
It was joyous. But there's another one where we did a thing where we started turning in chairs. It was for the LA Times.
Which is like an actual place. Like, like sometimes you're doing interviews and it's like coolkids.com.
Yeah.
LA Times is like an actual place that has real articles about politics and entertainment.
And we are spinning on spinning chairs and refusing to stop.
Who started?
I don't know.
God, I hope it was you. Did it bring you joy looking at those? You had to
revisit
them?
Me joy, and then halfway through, I looked at the face of the interviewer, and I thought, "Were we just being dicks?"
No, we wouldn't.
Don't think
we would stop? We would stop.
She looked. Nobody else was doing it. It was just you and me.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, we have to. I got to find the interview.
There's about 8 of us all sitting around. Everyone else, there's just you and me spinning in chairs at the back, like 12.
I wonder why you joined in. Maybe you're just so kind.
I think I was just like, because you want to. These things are difficult to keep interesting.
Did you feel? Was there a time at the beginning of us meeting that you're like, oh, this is a person I could spend time with?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I remember being with you, being like, oh, okay, this person gets it. My type of comedy.
Yeah.
Our comedic sensibilities touch very easily.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also because I'm not from that comedy world. And suddenly I was with you and Bobby Moynihan and Danny, and I was thinking, all these funny people, this is cool.
Yes.
And Kate McCucci, who I'd loved.
So funny.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh, I want to hang out with a cool comedy kid.
Yeah.
So I would have probably done anything. I'd have probably removed my underwear.
I don't think you would have removed your underwear. What's the question that you get asked most when you're on tours? Is it always Doctor Who based or no?
It would depend. It depends what you're promoting, I suppose. But there's always, towards the end of it, there's like, I have to ask you about Doctor Who.
Yeah.
There's that. Just
and is it who's your favorite Doctor, or what's the most?
No, it's something about what, like about the Doctor who's currently on, or just something. They have to just have a little. POV. They have a little sort of Doctor Who sign off.
Of course.
And then that usually becomes the headline of the article.
And then every
whatever
interview
else you're doing.
Yeah, same.
It just gets smothered.
Same. It'll be Parks and Recreation or something like that for me.
Yeah. Although Sonic presumably is, it takes all before it. These
you know what's so
huge,
funny?
These films.
Very big. We are traveling as a group together, and it's me and James Marsden doing a bunch of stuff. And I asked James, because he's very beautiful. So like people stop him all the time and are like, oh my God, they look at me and I look like a Muppet. And they're like, I think I remember you from something. But like James, they'll see him like, look at this attractive man. And so many people recognize him from Sonic. And I was like, does that happen a lot? And he's like, yeah. It's like the majority of people now are Sonic. It's bigger than I think it is, because it just when you're working on something, it never feels like the biggest thing in the world. It feels like, you and a couple pals are making something. But this one, it's like everywhere we go, people seem to be excited for it. I hope,
especially for you, because you're doing you're not even on set with everyone. You're doing all your stuff in a studio.
So you can't see my face and be like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You have to hear me talk.
When you do a press tour, do you go to like non-English speaking countries?
We went to Brazil this time, and then the person who plays Sonic, who speaks in Portuguese, came out.
Okay.
And he also dubs me in all my TV shows.
Right. So you're promoting a film in which you're not actually
I'm not in
appearing.
it at all. That's exactly correct. In England, amazing. Ireland, like UK, I'm pretty good. And then it's like, if I can't go to Brazil was a blast because it's like, who are you? All right. So I do the voice, and then Manolo here does like my performance, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've met the guy that does me in German.
And love him?
He was lovely. Yeah. He came dressed as the character, which was a bit
Which
odd.
character?
As
Macbeth?
the Doctor. He came dressed
it'd be so funny if it was Macbeth.
Yeah.
Just a crown?
Yeah.
It'd be amazing.
Yeah. Came in the kilt. No, he came dressed as but he was very nice. He was very nice, and he gave me the gift of a screwdriver, not a sonic screwdriver, a real screwdriver. It was a little confused.
What do you mean, a screwdriver to screw in?
Well, you know the obviously you know your Doctor Who lore, Ben.
TARDIS. TARDIS is the blue guy.
TARDIS is the
enemies. The enemies are the Daleks.
We call them Daleks.
Yes, yeah. Well, in America, we call them Daleks. Daleks. Right. And then you have a wand, no?
Well, that's it. The sonic screwdriver.
Sonic screwdriver.
Yeah.
It doesn't really screw things.
It can. But it doesn't have to. I mean, it makes...
Did you steal a prop from Doctor Who?
I got given some props.
Okay. Politely given.
That is the question I get asked most.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
You took one of those screwdrivers.
I got given one in a nice box.
Oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
That's great.
And then got shit scared it would get stolen in my house, so I have it in a vault.
Really? No.
No. Just trying to not get people to break into my house.
That's smart.
That's smart. Yeah. So when...
He's going to the paper. He's asking the first question.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, David, go.
Yeah. When
I can't believe you did research. This is so exciting.
Listen, I've not. Yeah, I some of it I knew.
Okay.
I'm just joining the dots. I want to know what age were you?
Yeah.
When you began to realize that your brain made connections that other people's brains didn't.
Oh, wow. What a great question.
Thank you very much,
David.
Ben.
One for one.
Thank you.
And I will be grading each question.
Yeah.
I have two answers for this. One is, and you
I will grade your answers.
Thank you very much.
That's fine.
You pitched it in a way which is great.
Yeah.
I'm not very good at talking about myself because I don't want to, I never want to sound whatever, that I think that I'm good at something.
Sure.
But you've asked your question in such a way where it won't make me, which is great. A big moment for me happened two times. One, so I was always afraid of auditioning for, like, I never auditioned for the comedy team in college, the improv team, because I was afraid people told me I wasn't funny. And there's such a big part of my identity that I was the funny guy in our group.
Right.
That if I auditioned for people who were funny and performing and they said you weren't funny, I don't know what I would have been crushed.
Right.
Same with, I never auditioned for the musical in high school because I was afraid they would tell me I wasn't good. I was afraid of failure when I was a kid.
You'd rather stay away from it than fail.
I was terrified of failure when I was a kid. So I finally got pushed by a girlfriend at the time to audition for my college group. I got in.
What age is this we're talking about?
This is college, so I would be, all right, because college by me is university here. I was probably 19, 20. I was young for my grade.
Okay.
And I got in barely. And I started to be the person that me and one other guy started to be like, people were like, oh, have you seen Ben do this? And I started to get a little bit of confidence. But there's a show afterwards. I was performing Upright Citizens Brigade when I graduated college in a place called The Pit, which is just a smaller improv theater there. And I did a show, and I was starting to get confidence and starting to get a little bit better. And a person stopped me on the way out and complimented me on how my brain worked in certain scenes.
All right.
And it was the first time someone had ever done that to me, singled me out of a group and said, like, the connections I made were, and it made me feel like I was flying.
Right.
Because I don't, you don't often, when you're doing comedy, I don't think that, like, if I make a good connection, it doesn't make me feel smart. And he made me feel smart, or very like, it made me feel like I was like knew what I was doing, and that was the first time. That was a big one for me.
So you're already like 20 years old or something by that stage. Okay, and you were doing like improv shows.
Yes, but the first time I learned that comedy could help me, great story.
Yeah,
it was when I was my mom was a Bronx public school teacher her whole life for 50 years.
Okay,
so I was in the school with her. I was in kindergarten. And
was she your teacher?
For music, yeah.
Wow.
She taught kindergarten through 5th grade.
Okay.
So she was a teacher. I was in Mrs. Parley's class, who was a homeroom teacher. Guy next to me was named Shigeki, same age as me. Didn't speak a word of English. Zero English.
Wow.
I would go over his house all the time and play video games. We'd play Nintendo together.
Okay.
Never spoke. We couldn't speak to each other, but we'd had the best time playing video games and sharing in moments of the video games.
Yeah.
So we're friends. He's sitting next to me in kindergarten. And for no reason, I yell the word shit at the top of my lungs.
What age?
Kindergarten. Very young.
That's like 5 years old.
Has to be.
Right.
Very young. And I go, shit. Something happened. I was disappointed. And so Mrs. Parley goes, Benjamin. And I go, Shigeki did it. And she wanted to yell at me, but she was laughing at the same time.
Right.
Because the fact that this kid who's never spoken a word of English, his first word would be yelling at the top of his lungs, shit. And so she had to cover her mouth and then be like, no. And she told my mom, and my mom yelled at me. But then anytime I was around, my mom would tell the story to other teachers and the teachers would laugh and look at me and be like, Ben, but like smile. And I think that was the first time I was like, oh, comedy can like, yes.
Yeah.
Comedy can get me out of some situations and like people are talking about this.
It's
and
transactional.
that was a big first one for me where I was like, oh, I can like, comedy can like make people laugh and I can get out of like sticky situations.
So did your family always find you funny?
I have a funny family. Yeah, my family always found me funny.
Are they all funny?
Yeah, my mom is very like, the wacky part of my life is my mom. She's very spontaneous and crazy and doesn't think before she talks. My dad is very witty and he's very brain forward when he makes jokes.
Right.
So like it's a combination of both of them. I'm very much like when I'm wacky at my mom and when I'm trying to break things down and connect things on my dad.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you similar with, is your family funny? 100% Scottish.
100% Scottish. Yeah. Well, a little bit of Irish, but yeah. My dad was quite funny, yeah, but sort of daft funny, like silly stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Were you silly growing up? You're silly now.
Yeah, probably was a bit, yeah.
Do you remember the first time you got a huge laugh with your friend? What was it?
It was in school.
What was it?
We were preparing for the nativity play.
Great setup.
Yeah. And we all had brought in our tea towels from home, which we were going to wear on our heads.
Of course.
Because that's how you represent it.
I'm Jewish and I still get it.
The Middle East.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. And,
that's how I represent the Middle East. I thought you were saying like the people in the nativity scene.
Yeah. The Eastern, anything from...
Isn't it a bunch of nuns and a little lamb and a baby or something like that?
It's Jesus and Mary.
Jesus is hanging out in that one? Is Jesus in that one?
The nativity play is the birth of Jesus in the stable.
You get so kids are live reenacting Mary giving birth to Jesus?
Yeah, the birth tends to happen off stage in most primary school performances.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a Mary and there's a Joseph and there's the wise men and there's the shepherds.
Oh, yes. This is what I remember.
Yeah, so we're all in school preparing for the nativity play. We've all brought in a tea towel from home, which we're then having to tie around our heads.
Oh, I understand what that is now.
Some sort of headdress.
Okay, did not understand. Now I understand.
And I'm trying to wrestle this onto my head. And gradually I realized that everyone's watching me do this. And I'm doing it with each sort of rearrangement of the tea towel, it's more and more absurd.
Right.
And with each rearrangement, the class are finding it funnier and funnier.
Yes, heaven.
And everything I do is killing them. And it's cumulative. And every time I squiddle the thing around on my head, it's funnier and funnier and funnier. And I'm lapping it up.
Can you like remember exactly how it felt? Is it that much of a core memory?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, I
can remember
that.
going, and if I do this, they laugh even louder.
And you just kept going.
And I just kept going. And the thing that killed it is the teacher, very quietly, because the class had stopped and I was just doing this. The whole class was watching me.
You're performing.
I'm performing. I'm 5 years old. The teacher's at the front desk marking or something. And she very quietly goes, my real name is McDonald.
Your first name is McDonald?
No. My surname before I changed it for actress. Anyway, she is just from the very front of the class, very quietly goes, David John McDonald, sit down and stop showing off. To this day, it's like a knife in my heart. I didn't know I was showing off. I was just riding the wave.
Oh, that's so funny. So you felt ashamed?
I felt.
So you had your biggest high and felt ashamed.
Exactly that.
And that's the only way you can get off now, right? You have to. You've been chasing that heroin dragon this whole time.
Yeah.
That's so funny to pair this incredible joy and jubilation with shame.
It was the nativity.
So now when you
the
push too
nativity
hard
of my performance.
Are you afraid of pushing too hard comedically?
Oh yeah,
that you'll make people feel like you push too hard.
Always, yeah. And I sort of always assume that I'm always doing too much. That's
so scary. If you and I did improv, who I always think that you'd be great at, you've come to a couple of your family and you've come to a bunch of my shows. Yeah. I think that you would be, there are people I know that are funny that I don't think would be good on stage. You are someone who'd be very good on stage, on an improv. I would need you to never worry about that. You can't ever think that you'll ever be ashamed. You have to be in the moment.
That's the bit, though. That's the trick. But because this is you spend a lot of your time doing this long form improv.
I do. I do it one weekend a month now.
Right. Yeah. Ben Schwartz and friends. You and three mates, three comedy chums.
Yep. We call them 3CC, three comedy chums.
Yeah. Tour America and now the world. You tour the world.
We played Royal Albert Hall here. We're doing Sydney Opera House this year.
It's taking over.
It's great. London is a great audience. England is awesome. I love performing here.
Good.
Love it.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad. But you step on stage and you don't know what you're going to do.
No. God, this is a classic Tennant transition. We are already into the next question. He seamlessly pushed us there. We're both in this train, and the train is going beautifully.
It is going, and you're on it.
It is. It is staying on the track.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the thing, and I've talked to you about this before, because
we don't know anything beforehand. Nothing is planned. So we get on. So we played Radio City Music Hall, which was the biggest venue that I think improv has ever done. And one of my friends who's a singer who plays there often was like, he's played there all the time. And he's never nervous. And he said, "So wait a second. What are you going to do when you get there?" I said, we're going to do a show. And they go, "But what is the show going to be?" I go, "We're going to get on stage. We're going to interview someone, and we're going to use that as inspiration. We're going to make up a show." And he's like, "I could never in a million years get on that stage in front of 6,000 people not knowing what I was going to do."
For most performers, I think that it's the sort of recurring nightmare that they wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat.
My nervous, it's like for you doing Macbeth, for me, the scariest thing in the universe is forgetting a monologue or something on stage. Right. I find such freedom in that. Anything can happen. There are no mistakes. I can make a mistake, something good. But like, I'd be so terrified if like my nightmare that I have sometimes when I have big lines of dialogue is I'll go to sleep and my dream will be, this is a real dream. I've had a recurring dream where either a table read or we're on stage or we're on set about to film. And they go, "Okay, let's do rehearsal of the scene," before we start rolling cameras. And the page that I talk on isn't in my script.
Right.
And I'll look at someone else's script and I can see my name, but they're using it. And I was like, "Oh, can I borrow it?" And they let me borrow the page, but they give me the wrong page. And I never see my lines.
Right.
And it's coming up to my part and I don't know my part.
Yeah.
I literally have a nightmare about that.
Sure. But at least then there is at least when it's a play with a script, there is an element of preparation that you can do.
Yes.
And it's lovely not to have that.
Well, the preparation is the 20 years I've been doing it.
Well, that's the thing. So it's because it's a learned.
Same with you in stage. Same with you in Shakespeare.
Yeah. But improvisation, because I don't think, particularly in the UK, we don't do it. In the US, it's understood that it's a learned skill to an extent.
Right.
And you train in it.
It's an art form. It's a theater form.
Yeah. Can anyone do? I mean, obviously, some people are going to be better than others, but can you teach anyone to improvise?
I could teach people the rules and the guidelines of how to improvise and how to make a good scene.
Yeah.
But it's just like being funny or a good actor. Some people, I can't teach you how to be funny. I could teach you what makes a scene good.
You could teach someone.
I could teach you what I would do, what my next move would be, and why my next move would be that. And then if you start learning the patterns of like, "Oh, okay, don't say no to ideas. Say yes to this. Add to it. We're trying to make a scene together."
Yeah.
Like if you start seeing those guidelines. But I can also improvise with anybody.
Yeah.
And even if they're bad or they derail it, I can find a way to make the scene work.
Yeah.
Just because I've done it long enough.
Yeah. It's the absence of panic. You have to be completely zen.
I mean, it's the same with acting. If you can be comfortable in that moment and look like you're just fucking there.
Yeah.
Same. With improv, if you can just be comfortable in that moment and really react truthfully. If I did a scene with you and all I said is, "David, just react truthfully to everything I'm doing. Don't even try to be funny."
Yeah.
We'll find something.
Right. Okay.
You said you may jump on stage one day, right? Or no?
I did a little. I have my friend who's.
You did monologues, or you did?
No, I did scenes with the Groundlings where they just put me in. I mean, it was giddy making, but it was also I couldn't help but be going. What's next? What's next?
I'm telling you, I cannot wait. You'll come, and we won't tell anybody you're coming, and it'll be the best. I think you will have the most fun because I'll take care of you too.
Well, yeah.
You will not be able to make a mistake.
Yeah,
it'll be amazing.
Oh, well, I'll hold you to it one day.
Great.
But the thing is, you do this, and this is an extraordinary skill you have, and you're so good at it, and it's glorious to watch you in the wild when you do these shows. But you are also an actor. I mean, you also do like...
That's my main thing.
You also like do normal acting where you learn lines and you sort of do
Improv
scenes.
is like the fun thing I do on the side.
Yeah.
It's just because there's a strike and the world is ending. I've been doing more improv now while I can fit it in.
Yeah.
And then now that things are starting to turn up a bit more.
But do you ever... Because improvisation is also used as a tool.
Yes. Do you do it? You must.
Well, I've been in rehearsal rooms where a director goes, let's improvise the time these characters first met. The time.
Oh, really? I've never done that.
Well, you've never. Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Yeah,
improvised backstory.
Yeah.
Oh, I've never done
You've
that.
Never had that. Or,
that sounds so fun.
Yeah. But what I was going to ask you, and maybe if you were in that situation, because of course at that point it's not about being funny. It's not about It's not about button on the scene. It's just about finding some sort of emotional truth by often being quite boring.
Yeah.
Do you think that would? Do you think you'd find that quite difficult?
There are scenes where I'll improvise dramatically, like dramatic improv scenes, or like I just did an audition for something, and in it there's like a pretty hard scene at the end. And if you're with somebody that'll play, I love going deeper into like it's either a fight or me bearing my soul with someone or breakup. Like that is great. I've never done it where it's like a very mundane. The way that you're explaining is like you're trying to find out how these first people met. I think that'd be so fun.
Right.
That'd be so fun.
But with a different objective, I suppose. That's
your objective is what? To find like
I mean, it could be anything, but it's just it's some directors will use it as a tool to understand the character.
Never done it before. Would love that.
Right.
Never done it before.
But you'd have to you'd almost be fighting presumably your comic instincts.
Yes, I would just make sure not to find I'm not finding the game. You're right. Yeah. I would want something to happen in the scene.
Yeah.
It would be you're right. My instinct is all right, now I'm going to make it entertaining.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think I would have to fight that instinct.
Yeah. Interesting. So as a kid, was it comedy that got you excited?
Loved it.
Right.
So much. But would have the balls to do it. When I was a kid, never dreamed about it. I used to watch Saturday Night Live, and at the end of Saturday Night Live when they wave, I used to get emotional because of how amazing that must feel. Like to do that show and then afterwards with your friends wave, you just completed Saturday Night Live. And I used to watch it and not understand why I was like getting emotional, but I think it's because like that would be the dream of all dreams.
Yeah.
But like, it's like being an astronaut. I didn't know anybody who did it. It didn't seem real.
So there were no precedents around you.
No. My mom was a Bronx school teacher for 50 years. My dad was a social worker who then was the director of the YMHA, then went into real estate.
Okay.
So it's like there was nobody I could look to and say this person did it or this person I never met a famous person.
Right.
So it's like it was not real. So then that thing in college was such a big deal because me doing improv was the first time me being like, am I allowed to do this? And then
so at school there was no drama, there was nothing like that.
I just sang. I did madrigals and chorus and all that stuff, but I never did anything where I never performed.
Right.
Ever. College was my first time ever performing.
And literally didn't conceive that you could.
I didn't think it was possible.
Right.
I don't know anybody that had a job like that.
Right.
So I was going to go into real estate, or I was probably going to be a social worker or a therapist or something like that, or a teacher.
Yeah.
So it's not anything that needed specific whatever.
So then
I think secretly, I always was like,
okay.
I think in the back of my head.
How secret was it?
Very. I wouldn't dare.
Not even admitting to yourself?
No way. I wouldn't even let myself audition for the team because I didn't want to, the only thing I had was that people thought I was funny.
Right.
And what if the funny people said I wasn't funny? Then what? I'm just a little piece of shit.
Because that was your validation whenever you made someone laugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that was a big part of like, God, can you imagine if like, so performing was too scary. Way too scary.
Yeah.
And
so how do you do, but you move your Bronx and then Westchester?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Oh,
lived in Riverdale in the Bronx, which is the northern tip of the Bronx, then went to the suburbs in Westchester. Public schools my whole life.
Yeah.
So
then how do you going to go, okay, I'm moving and this is it. I'm going to do it. What's
after college? Okay. So when I was in college, I almost had cum laude, which they must have that here, right? Cum laude is like once you get a high enough grade point average, they give you the decree that you're cum laude, which is like
that's we would call that with honors. Is that
great? Yeah, that's probably what
I'm
it is.
looking through the glass.
I bet that's what it is. Yeah.
I think,
So I was very close to getting it, and I had friends who were on the football team where they're going to fail out of college. And the way they don't fail out is they take this acting class because everybody gets an A and it raises their GPA. So I said, I'm going to take this acting class and it's going to bump me up that tiny bit that's going to make me cum laude. I'm almost there.
Okay.
So I'm guaranteed an A in that class because the football players are doing it there. So I took it and you had
the football players can do it.
Well, you just have to show up.
Right.
And you get a good grade.
Right.
Because how are you going to give someone a bad grade if they're not a good actor? That's so unfair. You know what I mean? It's just like the process of doing it. You have to audition for the play if you're in the class.
Yeah.
So I auditioned and it was a Brecht play. It was Caucasian Chalk Circle.
Wow.
Which is very thick.
Yeah, sure.
And I got Azdak. I got cast as Azdak.
Quite
so
good
I
part.
was huge.
Yeah.
So it was like, I never memorized anything before and I had to memorize Brecht and Azdak. It was a very big and scary role. And so I did the play. And the director afterwards, my parents came to see the play, came up to my parents and said, just so you know, he could do this if he wants to try. And they're like, really? And he's like, yeah, he could maybe do this.
Hey.
And they're like, okay. And then I went to my parents, I said, you know what, now that I'm doing improv in college, I want to do it when I'm out of college. Can I have like a year or two to try this? And my dad's like, yeah, try for a year or two. And if you fail, you'll get a real job.
Okay.
And that's how it started. I took classes at UCB. I couldn't afford them. So I became an intern at UCB, did the garbage and gave out tickets.
Wow.
For free classes. Started taking classes at UCB. So I started at the very bottom of the rung of the ladder. And then slowly took the classes, got a little bit better. Then I formed this team with Adam Pally and Gil Ozeri called Hot Sauce. Then we started playing Montreal Comedy Festival. Now people are kind of learning about us. And then I started to get writing work. I wrote for Robot Chicken, and I was freelancing for Letterman and freelancing for SNL's Weekend Update.
Like sending in jokes.
Faxing in jokes. That's how long ago it was.
Faxing in jokes.
I had to buy a fax machine and buy a phone line. And the jokes would pay, like, if I got one on, would pay $75. And all that money would go into paying my phone bill or the fax.
And that's for like the opening monologue at Letterman.
Letterman was opening monologue. Okay. I got 21 jokes on. And
over how long?
3 years maybe.
Okay.
And then
would you watch every night, not knowing?
Night. So I was, this is great. David, you're really doing well. It's crazy that this is your first time ever doing a podcast. So I was a page at Letterman, which means that I would show people to their seats, show them where the bathroom
like, this is where you sit.
That's literally what I did. Gave out tickets. So I was in the theater when Dave was doing his monologue.
Right.
And so I would be every day faxing in jokes.
So you're faxing in jokes, then you're going to work to help people take their tickets.
I'm a freelance writer, so I'm not a real writer. I fax in jokes, and if they don't like any of the regular writers' jokes, they'll look at the faxed in jokes. And I found out later that Johnny Carson would fax in jokes to Letterman all the time. And when Johnny died, Letterman did a monologue that was all of his faxed in jokes.
Wow.
Isn't that so cool?
Yes.
So it's me and like some legends, but mostly just like, it's just like free writing from people because they don't have to pay me unless I use it.
Wow.
So I would write 20 jokes a day for 3 years.
How did you know to start doing that?
One of my friends who was an intern there was doing it. And I asked him if he can get me in. And they said no. And then I was polite and resilient and asked one more time. I said, hey, I'm about to stop being a page. Is it possible? And they said, okay, you could write 3 jokes a day. And so I wrote 3 jokes, and the head writer, the head writer for the monologue, guy name was Steve Young, would give me notes and be like, this is how Letterman talks. He doesn't talk in big paragraphs. You have to do it quicker like this.
Okay.
And then I got my first joke on, and then my second joke on, then I had to sign a contract to be a freelance guy.
Oh, I see.
So I'm in the back of the crowd, and every day when Letterman ends his monologue, he points to Paul Schaefer and says, ladies and gentlemen, Paul Schaefer from the CBS Orchestra or something like that. And so I know the monologue's over. So I got very comfortable working there because I was there for 2 years, something like that. And so anytime he didn't say one of my jokes and he would start to point, I literally would say, fuck, because I didn't get any jokes on. And the person had to tell me once, he yelled at me, he said, we can hear you. in the show, we can hear you.
Right.
You cannot say fuck. Like it's happened twice now. And he had to tell me to shut up. Like, stop being disappointed when your jokes didn't get on.
So $75 if a joke got on.
$75.
Did you ever have 2 at once?
In Weekend Update, the only time I got jokes on was twice in one show.
Oh, wow.
So Weekend Update, twice one show. Letterman once every now and then.
Right.
Yeah.
That must have felt like such a rush. Though.
It was.
Because presumably it was all done so up to the wire.
I would never know. I would never know. Even on SNL, you would never know.
Wow.
Until they say it. And so it would be.
The first time Letterman said your joke.
Oh, one time. The first
time.
Were
you paging that night?
The first time he ever said my joke, he said a joke that was mine, but then they said 2 times in a row, I don't know if they were lying, they said someone else wrote a similar joke. Which is possible because we take the headlines that night. But it happened twice in a row. And then the third time, he's like, okay, yeah, that one was yours. So, like, the first 2 times, I was like, huh? And like, not yet. And then the third one, he's like, okay, that one was yours.
Right. That must have been so exciting.
It was.
Had you always looked up to Letterman?
Letterman was our guy.
Of course.
Conan was like the cool guy, but Letterman was the one that my dad and mom watched.
Yeah.
So every night my parents are sleeping, like they're laying down normal, and I would sleep, horizontal to their vertical near their feet.
Oh, right.
And I'd watch Letterman while they're watching Letterman.
Right.
And then we'd watch it every single night. So the idea that I was now writing and maybe he would say my lines, it was the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
And you finally appeared on the show, right?
So I like bucket list things. That was one of them. I was a guest on the show right before he retired.
Me too.
Did you?
I think I was a couple of months before you. You were.
What show?
And I looked it up. You were the 28th of January, 2015.
And when were you?
I was like November 2014. It was definitely...
Was that your guy? Or do you care about talk shows here or no?
I knew it because I sort of had an interest in that culture for sure. And Letterman, of course, he's a huge, colossal
What would be
figure.
the equivalent? Graham Norton?
I suppose it'd be Graham Norton or Jonathan Ross, but they're much more recent. We don't have the kind of history of... Michael Parkinson is...
Oh, sure.
Is the one, I guess, the kind of old school one here.
Right.
But that's less of a sort of comedy thing. He's more of an interviewer.
Yeah, like we had a Tom Snyder, which is very similar.
Yeah.
Or Larry King.
Yeah. But you were very aware of Letterman because he was so cool and
he was the coolest dude.
Yeah.
He would throw shit off the roof.
Yeah.
He would like do,
yeah.
He had something called monkey cam where he took a camera, put it on a monkey, and the monkey would run around the audience or something. He did the craziest stuff. And then Conan was even more bananas, which was even more.
He was the one time that I've done a talk show and I had my phone in my pocket. So as soon as he went, that's our show. I think I was the last.
To get a picture with him?
I took my phone out because I thought he's going to exit this stage.
He does.
He's giving this show up.
Of course.
He could disappear to a cabin in the woods and never be seen again. And I've got 2 selfies with me and David Letterman.
Really?
That I got literally just as he was exiting the stage. I went, Dave, this is my only chance to
Were you nervous? Were you anxious to ask?
Yeah, of course.
I can't do that. I'm really bad at that.
Of course, but I just thought...
And you never do that. I feel like I've
never do that.
seen you do that ever.
I would never do it. But it just thought, he's going to exit. He will be gone.
They do.
He will leave public life as well, I thought. Well, I mean, he's sort of come back now, isn't he?
A little bit, but you're right. He's secluded.
He's kind of,
But you know what's so funny for the audience who watches talk shows? One of the funniest things about a talk show is that you get there, you're in the green room, there's a live band playing, there's a huge audience, the warm-up act comes on, the first guest comes on, second guest, there's a musical act, everything's going crazy, and you get off stage, and you're kind of like still like have the energy with you, and when the show's over, you look around, everybody's gone.
Oh, God, yeah.
You think that it's like, for you, it's such a big deal because you're there one day every year.
Yeah.
And then you look around and it's over. The energy's gone. Nobody's there. You're totally by yourself. A security guard shows you where the door is.
Yeah.
And it's just such a funny feeling where you're like bubbling with, oh my God, we did this. Guys, there's nobody to say, guys, can you believe?
Yeah.
They're gone. They're coming back tomorrow.
And you didn't, I mean, David Letterman, I only met on stage. There was no sort of saying hi beforehand.
Of course
None of that.
No. I was terrified for Letterman. I was terrified.
Yeah, me too.
I've never been scared for a talk show.
But it made worse by the fact that you don't get to, I mean, like Seth Meyers comes and says hi, James Corden comes and says hi.
Yeah.
Stephen Colbert, I've done Stephen Colbert twice, and he makes you feel
I love Colbert.
Very relaxed. Very
I interviewed
cool.
him for a big thing.
Did you?
Oh, it was the best.
So nice.
We turned into, I kind of put a bunch of improv in there, and we like turned into a show. It was great.
Yeah.
I love Colbert.
He's great. I did his show once. I thought this is great. We did like a little sketch as well. It was great. Then a few months later, I went back and did it again. I thought, oh, my old mate Stephen, and I went on, sat in and thinking, it's so nice to meet you for the first time.
He said that? Oh no!
Yeah.
Did you say anything? No, you rolled with it.
Of course I know. Likewise.
We're friends. We're chums. We've done a sketch already.
Yeah. But you're very good on all that sort of stuff because you bring...
Talk shows are fun, and I also like to make them unique, and I like to try to push them away from... I don't like... When you're looking at questions, I was like, God, let's just have fun.
Yeah.
I hate thinking of questions beforehand. When they do this pre-interview things, I never have anything.
You got any funny stories?
No.
Yeah,
do you?
Don't. No, of course you don't.
Oh, did anything fun happen on set? I was like, no.
I mean, if it did, I've immediately forgotten about it because you've asked me that deathly question.
Yes. I never... I have friends that like... And even the old school guys, Billy Crystal, when he does a talk show, he prepares. He's amazing at that shit.
Right.
Martin Short looks like he has these great jokes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have friends that get very nervous before them, so they really do the research, and they're way more prepared, and they probably have better... I'm way more hit or miss. I'm either going to be really entertaining or like, oh, well. Do you know what I mean? And then I'll feel it if it's going just like, oh, well. And I'll like, during the interview, be like, oh. It's like, oh. But then when it goes really well, my first Colbert was very exciting.
Right.
He went off like crazy with me. Even Fallon, who doesn't really, I don't think improvises a ton, went off like crazy when I went off. and it's so fun when he goes.
Stephen Colbert's like a genius, though, right? I mean, his brain is incredible.
He's bananas.
When I first went on, I was doing Richard II at the time. He started quoting it to me. I mean, not just a bit.
Really?
He kept going. And then when they went to commercials, he kept doing Richard II at me. I'm like going, who knows chunks of Richard II? It's not
How do you
like
know
Hamlet.
that, but you don't remember that we met?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Exactly.
You could do all of Richard II, but I literally did a sketch with you. We got to get him on the phone.
Yeah.
Get him on the phone.
Come on, Steve. Come on.
Yeah.
After New York, you moved to LA. Was that like the obvious thing to do? Were you reluctant to do that?
I was
reluctant leaving home.
Because I was really close to my family.
Yeah, of course.
Very, very. I still talk to my dad every day. I talk to my mom, you know, a bunch of times a week, and it's like, and my sister. So it's like, I didn't want to leave my family, and also it's so scary to go somewhere else where I don't know anybody.
Yeah.
But I knew I had to go there. The only jobs in comedy in New York were to write for Letterman, to write for SNL, to write for The Tonight Show. Oh no, Tonight Show, I don't even know I was there yet. And it was so hard to, and I don't think I was getting on SNL. So I was like, I got to go over there. I got to try I want to start acting. I really want to start acting. Right. So I did a bunch of stuff that was on like YouTube and stuff. And I knew if I went over there, I would at least be able to show people what I do. Because nobody there had seen me on stage before, because you would have to live in New York.
Yeah.
So I went over there and I like had all my shorts that I wrote and acted in. And the first 3 months that I was there, I got so lucky. I worked really, really hard. I've always tried to work harder than everybody else.
Yeah.
So it's like, I was like, there's so many people that are funnier than me. I was like, but maybe if I work harder, I can open up more doors to at least try to get luckier. But the first 3 months I was there, I got cast as the lead in a TV show. I got hired to write for the Oscars, and I got cast as one of the leads in a movie. In the first 3 months I was there.
Right.
So like immediately off to the races.
Yeah.
And I was able to keep that going for a bit.
How do you end up writing jokes for the Oscars? How does that come around?
I had a meeting with Hugh Jackman's company to write.
Because he was hosting?
Yep. To maybe write a movie for him. So like, do you have any ideas for movies for him? And then they knew that I freelanced for those shows, so I was pretty good with jokes. And they were looking for someone. And they hired me, Dan Harmon, who created Community and Rick and Morty, and Rob Schraub, who is a great writer too. And the three of us wrote his musical number that started that show. And then we won an Emmy for writing for the Oscars, which is the funniest thing.
Yeah.
Which also, when I won the Emmy, I was like, my life has changed. This is going to be amazing. And nothing changed.
Turns out nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Yeah.
For that day, I got a bunch of texts.
Yeah.
And then nothing in my career changed.
Right.
You always think like, oh, this is the role where all of a sudden now everything's going to open up. And like for a day or so, it's exciting. And then nobody cares.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If there was a role like that for you, was it getting on Parks and Rec?
Yes.
Right.
Great transition. God, David, you're on fire.
We're on fire.
Absolutely on
fire. How did that come about?
Great story, David.
Yeah.
Do you want to hear it?
I do want to hear it.
What if you said no?
Yes.
A nightmare for someone who's in our industry. So I did these short films for ESPN where I would interview athletes. It was like between Dufresne's, all this, and I was like an arrogant idiot. And I would interview these big-time athletes, Olympians and NFL players and all those people.
Okay, real, actual athletes.
Yes, and I would tell them, just react normally. I'm going to be an idiot and an asshole.
Okay.
And that was the bit. And so they went on the air, and then Mike Schur, who's a big sports fan, saw those and liked the way I was playing them. And he said, I want to have a meeting with Ben. And I was starting to, my name was a little bit in the improv community and in the, and so it was to play, I don't know if you've seen this. Have you seen?
Yeah, of course.
So Louis C.K. played Amy Poehler's boyfriend.
Right.
It was for that role. And I had a meeting with Mike Schur, Katie Dippold, who I improvise with now, and Harris Whittles, who's a great writer who's since passed away, but an incredible writer. And Mike Schur goes to me, he says, you're not right for this role, you're too young. But he goes, think about this like The Simpsons in Springfield. There's going to be a Millhouse. There's going to be all these different characters. So if we find a place for you,
So this was right at the beginning of the show?
Yeah. It was like the beginning of season 2.
Okay.
So that's how it starts. This is a great, terrible Hollywood story. So then I find out this is what happened. A few weeks later, they want to offer me John Ralphio, which at the time is just a paragraph. One paragraph in an episode.
That one scene.
Yeah, just the beginning of that. That's it. And that's all that they sent. And my agent got a call, but he wasn't there. And so his assistant picked up, but his assistant wasn't there. Someone was subbing in for his assistant. This person picked up the phone. And they said, hey, we want to offer Ben this thing. And that assistant, who I never met, turned down the role.
What?
Without asking me or talking to me. Turned down the role. So this is what happens without me knowing. 6 hours later, Katie Dippold, who's my friend and writes for the show, calls me and says, hey man, totally cool. that you want to pass. It's just, it seemed like you really wanted to be on the show and we wanted to have you. So I just want to ask why you passed. And I go, passed on what? She goes, we offered you a role in the show. And she goes, listen, I know it's a small role, but there's a chance he could come back later in the series. And I go, I literally have no idea what you're talking about. Whatever it is, I'm in. She goes, oh, really? You passed today? I go, I have no idea what you're talking about. Whatever it is, I don't even need to read it. Whatever it is, I'll do it. She goes, oh my God, amazing. Great. And then I call my agent and I was like, what happened? And he's like, oh, I don't know what happened. And then I don't know if they're recovering for themselves, because if you look at the role, one paragraph in a whole episode, and I was already doing like the lead of pilots and stuff, I could see them being like, that's not enough. But they passed on the role. And if I didn't have my friend in the writer's room, I never would have found out. I never would have been John Ralphio. My career would have been totally different.
Wow.
And then I went there, and the first rehearsal was with Nick Offerman, who plays Ron Swanson.
Because you come in to be his assistant or something, right?
Yeah, that's the first scene.
Yeah.
The first rehearsal, the first scene, I do it, and Mike Schur comes next to me and goes, we're going to be writing you in. And he goes upstairs, and they start writing the other episodes with me in it. Right off that first rehearsal.
Yeah.
And it was life-changing. And someone turned down the role without telling me.
Whoa.
Isn't that crazy?
Have you ever found out what went on?
No.
You just have to assume they were thinking it was too small.
I don't want to be mad at anybody. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It makes you think, what else has happened that I have no idea
about? But do you notice things changing sort of straight away? Because that's a huge show and you're...
I noticed myself getting a lot of arrogant idiot roles. Like,
okay.
All of a sudden, a lot of offers for like John Ralphio types.
Right.
Or like my friends who were doing commercials would be like, your name keeps coming up like this, a Ben Schwartz or John Ralphio type character. Yeah. So I was like, oh, people are starting to pay attention. Or people would sing at me at a bar or something like that, like the way my character sings.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay, now people are starting to see this. And then I started getting auditions for movies and then bigger leads in TV shows. And I was like, oh, okay, this is starting to lead to everything else.
Yeah.
But I always carved out being able to do John Ralphio. So when I did John Ralphio, I had done 3 different TV shows throughout the course set.
Right.
And that was my side gig that I'd be like, one day a week, please let me go.
Right.
Yeah.
And how much of that, it looks very freewheeling and quite, I mean, how much of that was scripted and how much of that are
scripts were amazing. We always did the words as is, and then we do something called Fun Run.
Okay.
Which is do whatever you want.
Right.
But they would always let me go even more bananas than they really let me go crazy.
Right.
For a bunch of takes.
Yeah.
And we kind of find it. And then by the end, when they said do whatever you want, I'd be like a cartoon.
Okay.
And sometimes my character comes across the cartoon because they use those takes.
How many times did they use those takes?
A lot.
Right.
A lot. That ended up being a lot. But if you watch my character from the beginning to the end, I start off as like kind of a human being that exists on Earth, and I end as like a straight up Muppet. I appear coming out of couches. I'm like singing in people's ears that I've never met before. Things that a human being would never do. Like such an idiot. Yeah. Such a dummy.
But joyous.
It was like one of my favorite things I've ever done.
Yeah.
I love it so much.
Yeah.
And it'd be a joy. And also being the guest star, you just pop in for a day.
Yeah. No pressure. No pressure.
Heaven.
Yeah. And then you also start to become a regular in the world of animation. I mean, it's not just Sonic. Yeah. You've done a lot. You've done Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
DuckTales with you.
DuckTales.
Turtles. I've done a lot of animation.
Star Wars droid.
I did a droid.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of animated things because I was obsessed with cartoons when I was a kid.
Is that why? Is that why you're particularly drawn
video
to
games and by the way, you play video games. Does the audience know that you used to play video games?
I do. I would if I didn't have quite so many children, I would definitely play more.
Yes. You have a lot of children.
It's finding the time, but I do enjoy it when I do. Yeah.
When I was a kid, video games to me meant so much. Yeah. I loved video games when I was a kid. Still now, but when I was a kid, it was like my identity as a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
So landing Sonic, that's got a bit of a full circle thing there.
Huge.
Yeah.
Crazy.
What happened?
That one was great. I was having a meeting with Tim Miller, who directed Deadpool, and what happened was someone owned Sonic, some studio owned Sonic, and they couldn't find a movie to make, so they released it. So Tim Miller was going to make a 5-minute short and take that short and shop it to all the different studios and see if anybody wanted to do a Sonic movie.
Right.
I was having a meeting with him about something else, and he told me they're doing this short. And I said, hey, I do a lot of animation. If you ever need me for whatever, I love that character. And then a couple days later, he's like, they all called me. They said, it doesn't mean you're in the movie. And by the way, probably means you're not going to be in the movie. But would you just do us a favor and for the short, for the 5 minutes? Because the other person they cast in that did not get in the movie.
Oh.
So it's like, it was very much just a selling tool.
Yeah, sure.
They took it, Paramount bought it, and they're going to make the movie. And I'm sure they went to very famous people and offered it to very famous people or had conversations with them. But that test footage kept coming back and Paramount kept liking it and liking how I improvised as a character and brought comedy and heart to it. And like, they just kept hearing it over and over again. And I think they're like, once we got Jim Carrey and we had this huge person there, I think it probably alleviated some tension that we had to get some super popular.
Right.
And I was doing well at the time, but I wasn't, a superstar. And then they finally were like, after months, they're like, okay, Ben, you're going to be him. And I was so excited.
I bet.
I remember where I was. I was pump fisting. I couldn't believe it. Jeff Fowler, the director, called me. I was so excited. It was a huge moment.
Right.
Is there a role that you would die to do? If there was a reboot of something?
Oh, I don't know.
That felt rebootable?
I mean, I've sort of been I've always loved Marvel comics, but I've been in the Marvel world. I did Jessica Jones, so.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So I guess I probably, and I love that. I'm very proud of that.
But is there a superhero that you're like, God, this is my favorite comic as a kid?
Yeah, but that was Incredible Hulk. I'm not an Incredible Hulk.
Oh, I would love to see it. You would never want to get you angry. You would hate you when you're angry.
Yeah. That would have been. No, I'm very happy. Mark Ruffalo does it very well.
I wonder why he loved the Hulk. Was it the idea of this person just letting out all of his rage?
I think it was I think it's such an interesting character. It was kind of Jekyll and Hyde, isn't it?
Yeah, of course.
And it's the fact that he's not really a superhero. He's a kind of tragic figure who also
and a super smart doctor.
Yeah, and he's kind of. I suppose it's the misery, the tragedy of him, isn't it? But then also the fact that he can smash things up.
I know, right?
As that extraordinary kind of leveling power.
Absolutely.
As a child, you feel is so far away from you.
I loved Spider-Man because it was a kid who was funny.
Okay, yeah.
And from New York.
Yeah.
Kid who's funny and
of course.
swing. So I was like, oh my God, this is the coolest thing in the world.
Did the New Yorkness of it particularly appeal?
Yeah. And also, yes. And also that you could be funny. I love the idea of being Plastic Man in the DC universe is a funny character.
Yeah.
So it's like Spider-Man, Plastic Man. I loved
Plastic
those
Man's
things.
still to be cast, right?
Listen, I think everybody knows I want to be there. Or the guys over there know. I don't know. If,
we can never say it enough.
Okay.
You can never be out there as many times.
Yes, I'd love to play Plastic Man. But then also, me being cool about it is so far gone. Like it's so off now. I feel like
then you might as well just lean into the kind of
I've chatted with people about it and stuff like that. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Does the freelance life scare you still, or do you feel like, okay, I've got this.
Freelance?
Okay. Yeah, being
like the idea of all of us not knowing what's next?
Exactly, yeah.
I think the older I get, the more time I'm okay with not doing stuff. Oftentimes I'd have to fill up every minute of every day.
And yeah, you're always writing something, doing something, developing something.
The older you get and the more people you're around that you care about, the more time you want to give to family and stuff like that. So my priorities change. The way that I tour is different. I only tour one weekend a month.
Okay.
So I'm never gone for more than 3 days away from my family and stuff like that. But it's like my priorities change. And then, although it is interesting, when I don't get a role, I don't know if you audition anymore. When was the last time you auditioned? Never. You haven't auditioned.
It was a while ago, a couple of years ago. Yeah.
So every now and then I'll have an audition for something.
And it was awful, by the way.
Were you?
Well, it was a terrible experience.
Oh, I bet you. What was the last thing you auditioned for?
I better not be too specific. But it was for...
Don't tell me.
It was for quite a well-known...
Did you get the role?
No. I didn't get the role, and I had an awful experience.
The experience is awful, or you did a bad job?
I don't think I got what they wanted. I mean, I did a job in the room.
Oh my God, I've had that before. I auditioned for... How to say this? Yeah. I auditioned for a Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts movie.
Okay.
And I was so excited. And the sides were like super, super secret. And you can't take a picture of the sides. And I took a screenshot of the sides so I could memorize them when I didn't have Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
I got a call immediately when I took a screenshot.
They knew you'd done it?
It was an app.
That's sorcery.
I had no idea.
It's sorcery. Of course it's sorcery. It was Magic Beast.
Of course.
Yeah.
And I got a call. They said, oh my God, you can't. And I was like, oh no, I just want to, I'm not going to have Wi-Fi and I want to memorize it outside of my house. And they were like, I thought I jeopardized the whole thing. So I met with.
So how do they know you've taken a photograph of the screen?
It wasn't a download. I had to read it off of an app. And this was an early app.
Right.
And then I never told the story. I wonder if I shouldn't tell the story.
Ah, come on.
All right, whatever. So I did it. And so I got through to the round where you're auditioning with the director and the very famous producer. It was a hugely famous British producer.
David Heyman,
yeah. And incredible director who I've had another meeting with about something else.
David Yates?
He was awesome. Yates? Yeah. Yes, he was so nice. And I went in and I did it and I was fine, but I looked at him. I just knew I wasn't the right guy.
Right.
But I was like so desperate. And I got to this round. I got to the last round. And I was like, who knows if it's the last round, by the way. It was a round where I met big people.
It felt like it was at the sharp end.
And I was like, can I do it one more time? Like, of course. And David gave me some direction. I do it again, and they're so nice, and they're so British. They're being so nice to me, and I know I'm not there. And I was like, and I felt like such an asshole. And I go, I knew I wasn't going to get it, and I was like, can I do it one more time? And now I knew I was like pushing it, and they're like, sure, yeah, sure. And I do it again. I just know I'm not getting the role. I'm just fine, and I'm not what he sees.
Yeah,
and that I was like so bummed.
Yeah.
Like those are the interviews I remember. I was like so like, ugh. I just knew I couldn't do anything. I wasn't going to ever be the guy.
Yeah.
That was like one of those things. But I remember taking a picture of that screenshot and getting a call right after.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Needless to say, I was not in Fantastic Beasts.
No.
Didn't work out for your old pal Ben.
I have a question from Ty, my son Ty, who
I'm going to see in 2 days.
I think he's coming to your premiere,
and who's come to Sonic 3 premiere and has come to shows without the rest of his family.
Yeah. He's a big fan.
Yeah,
he's a big fan. Yeah.
So do you have every podcast you have a question from Ty?
No, but he wanted to ask you this. Well, no, I said, what would you ask Ben? And he came straight out with this.
Ready. He was ready. He had one in the barrel.
He did. He said, which of your projects provides the most regular residual checks? Is it Sonic, Parks and Rec,
great question,
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or DuckTales? Or another?
Do you know what's going to blow your mind? Do you know what has been lovely residual-wise for the least amount of work done?
Is it Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
It's Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Oh.
Because I helped do the voice of BB-8.
Oh.
So like I helped originate the voice. And so every now and then I'll get a check from Star Wars.
You helped, so you're not the voice, but you are part of the voice. It's different sounds.
So like at the beginning, it was me, me and JJ would write lines for BB-8. And then we would give them to Lucas Films or ILM, and then they would turn them into beeps and boops.
Oh.
So there's like dialogue we would write for them, or I would improvise dialogue. And then that didn't work. So I used like a synthesizer, and me and Robbie Stambler, who's a sound engineer, we would like figure out different things. And then I got a movie and I had to go, and then he hired Bill Hader to keep going with what I was doing. And then in the end, I literally think that, but at the beginning, the way they got me was like, you're going to do these lines. So they had to like hire me as like an actor because I was doing lines as him and they were going to turn it into stuff.
Yeah.
And then Bill Hader took over, and then JJ literally found an app on his iPad, and that's what he used, I think.
So it's not your voice at all?
The editors used my actual lines to help editing.
Okay.
And there's, my inflection might be there, but is absolutely just beeps.
But you get residual checks for
every now and then I get a residual check from that. So that was a big one. Parks, House of Lies is a big one because I think Showtime has to keep buying it to use it for whatever.
Okay.
And Sonic is just a beautiful one.
Yeah, I bet it is. Yeah.
But the funniest one is Star Wars.
Right.
It's beeps and boops, and every now and then I get a check for whatever,
and possibly just an iPad at the end of the day.
That's like the best.
That's nice.
That's the greatest gift JJ ever gave me. I'm sure he knew that. Like every now and then I'll get a little bit of money every now and then.
The one that I get.
DuckTales used to be great.
DuckTales is okay, but Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, it's not the amount, but the quantity.
Oh, the quantity.
They come like weekly.
Yes.
They're all tiny, tiny sums of money.
Well, we probably did. How many episodes of DuckTales? 70, 80?
Oh, we must have done, yeah.
And then Randy Cunningham did, yeah. There's
a full series it was, wasn't it?
Cartoons are the best. Although now with streaming, it's all different.
It's all gone.
It's all gone.
But Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is clearly still being sold.
Was it My Turtles? Which turtles?
No, I don't. I was the Fugitoid in one series, in one run. That's what I mean. I only did like 8 episodes. But
really?
It comes all the time.
You like animation, so why are you drawing animation?
You can do it from your house.
It's the best.
You can do it from your house. I did the Ahsoka series.
Yes.
I'm the droid.
Oh, you and I got to talk about Disneyland before this is over, but keep going.
Yeah. I did it. I did not leave my house.
At all?
No, I did not leave my house to do Hu Yang in Ahsoka.
During COVID times, I did an entire Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie from my house. I did DuckTales from my house, and I did a bunch of Sonic from my house.
Right. Do you have like, what kind of studio setup have you got?
Oh, it's in a closet. I put it in a closet where clothes are, and I just that's all I did.
Yeah, I mean, that's how the entertainment industry
figuring
kept
it
going.
out. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
There's gonna be documentaries about how everybody dealt with their jobs during COVID.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You've worked with a lot of extraordinary people. Jim Carrey, you're in a movie with right now. Billy Crystal was a big idol of yours. Does working with these people, is that an excitement? Is that a fulfillment? Or do they have sort of, when they become human beings? James Corden always says he doesn't get, James, and he says he doesn't get starstruck with actors at all because he knows we're all on set using a chemical toilet.
That can't be true.
That's what he says.
Okay.
He says
maybe
musicians and people from
I could see that for him. I could see that for him. Yeah. I could see that for him.
Because it's a bit unattainable.
I could get starstruck in a second.
Yeah.
But a big point that you make is huge. I am starstruck until I'm able to see them as a human.
Yeah.
Once I start talking, like with Don Cheadle, also a mistake I made with Cheadle's, like I saw I saw Hotel Rwanda maybe a month before. I was like, I can never watch someone being incredible before I work with them because it'd be too intimidating.
Right.
I just have to go in and act with the person. Like I don't want to see. But the second you realize that all these people are so nerdy about something, like he's obsessed with acting, he's obsessed with jazz, and like when we really get talking about stuff, you see they're just like us.
Yeah.
Then it's like so easy. Or when I do my first scene with them and it goes well, great. Same with improv. Sometimes I'll be a little nervous on stage. The second I get my first big laugh, I'm off to the races.
Yeah.
So it's whenever I pick my roles now, because when you're older and you have family, it's more like, how do I want to use time? So I pick my roles. If it's like a director I want to work with, if the script is amazing, or if it's an actor I want to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got to be next to Cheadle, or I'll do anything with Billy Crystal. The movie I did with Sam Rockwell, maybe the script right off the bat I wouldn't be sure about, but Rockwell's in it. Doesn't matter. I want to learn from him. I want to learn from all these people. I want to be better than I am, and I want to be inspired by all these people.
So who's still on the list?
Oh, billions. Literally anybody. So many people. So many directors. So many actors. There's so many people I want to play with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think you will.
You think so?
Well, I mean, you're doing pretty well so far.
So far, so good.
You're racking them
Who do you got? Who's your white whale? Acting and directing.
Oh. Anthony Hopkins.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Good, wouldn't it? Yeah.
You guys doing Dumb and Dumber together?
Exactly that.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And what about director?
I mean, Spielberg would be great, wouldn't it? Yeah. I just did a film that he produced.
Did he come to set?
He landed in the car park in a helicopter. He came to set. He got taken on set and had a photograph taken with the core cast, of which I was not one.
Oh, no!
Yeah. So he walked past me. He was about as far away as I am from you right now. I saw him walk past, and then he got back in his helicopter and went away. So I didn't get to meet him.
My one Spielberg story was very similar, where I was writing a script at Bed Robot, which is JJ's company, and sometimes they'll have an office that I can use, but they didn't have an office, so I was at an assistant's desk, and behind me was like 3 face molds from different movies. They'd done Star Trek or something, where like they make a mold of someone's face or whatever. And I'm writing my movie, and Spielberg has a meeting with JJ Abrams, and they leave, and JJ goes, "Oh, have you ever met Ben before?" But, Spielberg doesn't know who I am. And so he just assumes I'm someone's assistant, which is totally fine. But he goes, what's it like being here all day? First time I've ever sat at his desk. What's it like being here all day with all those, people behind you? And so I had to make a choice to either correct Steven Spielberg and be like, oh, no, I'm a writer. I'm actually writing a movie for Universal, your studio right now.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I just go, I'm the guy at the desk.
And I literally said, like, they're staring at me all the time, Steven. And like, he kind of like smiled and laughed. So he just thinks I'm a random assistant at Bed Robot, which is great.
Well, listen, when he cast you as Plastic Man.
Wow, he's going to direct it?
He's directing you as Plastic Man.
Holy moly.
Yeah. And Anthony Hopkins and I are in the back. We're just supporting.
You think you'd wear the blue tux or the orange tux in your Dumb and Dumber with Anthony Hopkins?
Maybe we'd explore different colors.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
This is like you're doing your improv, your backstory.
It's a reboot. It's not. Yeah. Oh, my God.
This is it. You guys trying to. How did Lloyd, Christmas, and Harry meet? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen Dumb and Dumber.
Are you serious?
I'm afraid I am. Yeah.
We should do a podcast episode where you and I watch Dumb and Dumber for the first time. I think it's a top 5 movie of all time.
Really?
I think it's one of the funniest movies ever made.
I have heard that from other people.
It is so funny, David. I wonder if it's still
there's 2 Dumb and Dumber movies, right?
Yeah, but you only have to watch first.
Oh, okay.
You
Thank you for letting me off the hook.
God, is there any other movie that... Have you seen The Godfather?
Yes.
Is there any other movie that you're like, everybody else has seen this, but I haven't?
Oh, there must be... yes. Dirty Dancing.
Oh, yeah.
I've never seen Dirty Dancing.
Unbelievable.
I've never seen Top Gun.
First one?
Never seen either of them.
Top Gun's great, too.
Yeah.
Shawshank? You've seen Shawshank.
I've seen Shawshank. Have you got one?
A lot of new movies I haven't seen.
Right.
What's a older movie I haven't seen? Give me your top 3 movies. I'll see if I've seen it.
12 Angry Men.
Never seen it.
Oh, my.
And someone told me I'd love it.
It's just a thrill ride.
Oh, I can't wait.
And it's all just set in a room.
And it's a play, right?
It's a play, yeah.
Okay, what are your other 2?
It was a TV play first. Oh, God. I asked this recently and I struggled.
Letterboxd.
It's a Wonderful Life, probably. Letterboxd, that's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
It's a Wonderful Life. and then probably Star Wars.
Which one?
The
New Hope.
Episode 4, yeah.
Yeah.
Just because of everything that it means.
But never saw 12 Angry Men. Your first movie I've never seen.
There you go.
Crazy.
I give you 12 Angry Men.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
I'll watch 12 Angry Men with you, and you watch Dumb and Dumber with me.
Okay, great.
Be great.
Deal. And we'll remake both of them.
God, we should.
Yeah.
What if what if it's like Eddie Murphy and Nutty Professor? We're all 12 Angry Men. You and I play 6 characters each. In prosthetics, doing it, whatever.
That's a great idea.
Be a great idea.
Yeah.
You've seen Back to the Future, right?
Never seen Back to the Future.
Oh my God. I don't know what I'm going to do.
I know.
I can't even listen to it right now.
It's so difficult with Back to the Future.
No, what do you mean so difficult? What are you talking about?
But
it's so
I've never
difficult to
seen
enjoy yourself, to watch the best movie of all time?
I know. I'm aware that it's like everyone's favorite film and it's the best film. Now I feel like I've gone too far.
No, you.
Because when do I?
Are you going to live your? Okay, in that, how many people there? Everybody in there has seen Back to the Future, right? Every single person.
I know.
So literally every single person in the world has seen. I mean, it is my favorite movie of all time.
Yeah.
It is the movie that made me realize that oh my God, movies are amazing.
I know. This is what everyone says.
That's so, why you're being mean to yourself.
I hate myself. Yeah.
You should hate yourself.
It's a Scottish Presbyterian thing. I mean, I do need to get around to it.
Shocks me, because also you like comedy.
I know, I'd love it. I would clearly love it.
Have you seen, this is not as good of a movie, but I'm just trying to compare. Have you seen Teen Wolf with Michael J. Fox?
Yes, I've seen Teen Wolf.
So you've seen Teen Wolf, but you haven't seen Back to the Future.
I know, it's weird, isn't it?
Oh, man.
I know. Anyway, Ben, this has been glorious.
We could do it for hours. How do you end? Do you end with how do you end these podcasts? Is there a fun thing you do?
No.
Come on.
There's absolutely,
Let's start a standard right now. At the end, what happens?
What would you like to finish with? Would you like to sing a song? You were going to give me another theme tune.
Oh, that's a great idea.
We could do an outro.
Great callback.
We could do an outro.
Okay.
Different, well, we'll go for a different beat. Let's go something a bit more legato.
Do you want to do 500 miles?
We wouldn't be able to pay for the publishing.
You think we'd have to pay for the publishing?
We'd definitely have to pay for the publishing.
Okay.
I can see Matt sweating. Oh no, he's shrugging. Maybe he thinks, yeah. We'd definitely not get away with that. We'll end up cutting it.
All right, give me a different beat. Okay. So this is how we're closing this.
This is the end titles.
Yeah. Okay, so give me a totally different vibe.
No,
We
that's not pay for the. No, it's too expensive. It's too expensive. This is
too expensive.
No.
Okay, good. That's an original song. Okay. A little bit harder to sing along to, but we'll see. Here we are at the end of the David Talks to You. Learned some things, kissed a friend, and just David talked to you. Are we better people now, or worse off for the chat? Only time will tell. Now go and get your hat. It's pretty great. Right? Great. Boom. Everybody love it. Booma. That's how we end.
Yeah.
Booma. Love you, David.
Excellent, Ben.